This is Béziers in the south of France, and it's the meeting point at the end of May before the start of yet another red-hot desert adventure, the Atlas Rally, first round of the FIA World Cup. As the crews gather here for the traditional scrutineering, everyone is already looking forward to reaching Africa. The distance from Béziers to their final destination in Morocco is not the largest in this kind of event, but nevertheless the Atlas Rally is an interesting 10-day adventure which begins in France and leads through Spain and then south into Africa, through the mountains of Morocco, as the raiders make their way to Marrakesh. But all of that is in the future. First, everyone must comply with the lengthy but necessary scrutineering procedure. All the vehicles have to be checked to ensure that they meet the regulations for their class in rally raids. The entry, as ever, is for competitors on 2 wheels as well as 4, and as usual consists of the privateer adventurers as well as the big factory teams. Privateers come in all shapes and sizes on rally raids. Lured by the loneliness and the strange beauty of the desert, they turn out year after year, event after event, and they come from all walks of motorsport. Now a regular on this sort of thing, ex-sports car world champion Jean-Louis Schlesser, with the latest evolution model of his 2-wheel drive buggy based on a Renault Alpine. But the cars attracting the most attention here are from the big factory teams, the Citroen ZXs and of course the Rothmans Mitsubishi Pajeros. This Atlas Rally will be another opportunity for the 2 giants of rally raiding to lock horns as Citroen and Mitsubishi fight once again for off-road supremacy. Top honours then will fall between these 2 outfits, at least on 4 wheels, but the 2-wheel formbook offers divided opinions, with no clear favourite. Perhaps the 2 French Yamaha representatives, and especially Stefan Peter Hansel, will play the main roles, but you must also keep an eye on Thierry Magnaldi, Heinz Kinnegadner and Jordi Alcaron. Even before the start, the competitors weren't willing to make predictions about the outcome of the Atlas Rally.
Qu'est-ce que j'espère? J'espère gagner tout d'abord.
What do I expect?
Qu'est-ce qui peut se passer?
Well, for sure to win, but many things can happen. There are fast riders here, Magnaldi, Kinnegadner and Arcarons, they're fast, so I must be observant and ride fast every day. I won last year, and I know it's a difficult rally. I think the pace will be fast. The new Citroen's supposed to be very competitive, and the Mitsubishi is always there. So I think we'll see a very competitive rally. I'll wait until we get to Morocco to attack with my car, because I think it will be very good in the tough tracks which form the majority of the piste over there, and I think that we'll be well placed. After scrutineering, time arrives for the first taste of action. 115 competitors, 57 cars and 58 bikes are ready to begin the prologue here in France, near Béziers. Bright sunshine provides a complete contrast to the drizzly dampness that sends the Dakars off on their marathon trek every Christmas, and the bikes are first through the 10-kilometre circuit. A short, special stage designed mostly to let the French fans get a first and, in some cases, last look at the competitors. The big names won't be taking any risks, as they know the really difficult part of the event lies ahead of them. 4 is Spaniard Jordi Arcaron, third in the last Paris-Dakar outing. And as the bikes take the start in reverse order, he's the first at the top 4 to get into the short special stage. After Arcaron comes number 3, first of the 2 Yamaha Motor France entries. Richard Sankt is starting one of his first African races with a really competitive bike. And his teammate is Stefan Peter Hansel, the number 1 favourite. Winner of the last 3 Paris-Dakar trips, he's been almost unbeatable in Africa for the past few years, and he'll be looking to add to his extensive record with a victory on the Atlas Rally. Number 1, last of the bikes to start, is Thierry Magnaldi, the man who won the 1992 Atlas Rally and therefore is expected to be Peter Hansel's greatest challenger. None of the favourites take any risks here, but look to get through the prologue without any problems. Today's short super special doesn't count for the overall standings, and its only meaning is to decide the starting order for the first real stage to be held in Spain. After the bikes, the 4-wheel vehicles leave the start ramp with the 2-wheel drive cars ahead of the big 4-wheel drive off-roaders. The lightweight of the buggies has helped them become surprisingly successful, and Jean-Louis Schlesser took victories last year with his in Tunisia and on the Faroes. The former sports car world champion has a new design this season based on the Alpine, and his old car is driven by Henri Cotte. René Match and Jérôme Rivière are at the wheel of 2 other buggies from the Duke team, but realistically only Schlesser is expected to be in the fight for a rostrum finish. For many of the privateers though, it's taking part which is the most important thing, and finishing the rally of course. But it's time now for the headline makers of the Atlas. The real muscle on this event comes from the big works teams, and the winner must come from among them. With a collection of wins to their credit already this year, the blue and white Rothmans Pajeros rank as favourites. Former rally driver Bruno Sabi, winner of the Monte Carlo Rally, is trying to repeat his recent victory on Paris-Dakar. Still looking to take it steadily on the prologue and wait for Africa to launch his main attack. His teammate, Saeed Al-Hajri, aims to add another win to the one that he scored a few weeks ago in Tunisia, but he too is taking it easy here. The third of the Works Mitsubishis is driven by another rally convert, ex-European rally champion, the German Erwin Weber. He has a new evolution of the Pajero. Sabi, number 204, is the winner of the prologue and the first leader of the race, but the battle between Mitsubishi and Citroen hasn't even started. The French manufacturer has entered a very experienced squad with Hubert Auriol, winner of Paris-Dakar on 2 wheels and 4, Pierre Lartigue, Alain Ambrosino, and a relative newcomer to the raids, ex-World Rally champion Timo Salonen. Competition will be fierce once they reach the desert, and starting order for the first of the special stages is determined by the outcome of this prologue. Perhaps that's why 1 or 2 drivers were trying quite hard, almost too hard, especially if you think this UMM is a diesel car. The prologue was the first and perhaps last opportunity for privateers to show off their abilities. From Béziers in France, the raiders must now start the long route southwards, heading towards the border crossing into Spain, and then another long road section as they make for Almeria and the sea crossing to Africa. Rally raiding's never easy though, and after 339 kilometres of road driving, there's the first of the special stages to overcome before they reach the ship and a short rest. Starting order there, determined by that prologue at Béziers. So Mirar begins the stage first, followed by Wagner, Kinigadna, Algay and von Zietsewitz. On the cars, Sabi, Weber, Salonen, Ambrosino and Lartigue is the starting order as they get down to business for the first time. Once again, the bikes are first away, and for them, the competition now begins in earnest. Over the years, the bike field has traditionally been closer than the cars on just about every event they've ever been to, and on occasions, victory has been decided by a margin that wouldn't look too embarrassing on a short tarmac race. First on the track then, on Spanish soil, the winner of the prologue, number 11, Jean Miroir, but soon he'll be forced to wake from his dream. 6, Jean-Christophe Wagner with a Husqvarna, second on the prologue and with a good chance of being among the top positions. For him, as for all the other competitors, there's everything to race for now and everything to gain, but also the first of the difficulties. This isn't Africa yet, but the route's hard and tough already. And that's why some of the riders began to hit their first problems. First man to run into trouble was ex-motocross champion Heinz Kinigardner. The Austrian's KTM ran out of fuel and he lost half an hour. Worse still was the misfortune that struck Thierry Charbonnier. He was widely expected to be in the top 10, but had to withdraw on SS1 following an electrical problem in his Husqvarna. Meanwhile, the top men had already begun to show their style. Peter Hansel, Yamaha number 2, trying his best. But it was Thierry Magnaldi who won the 135-kilometre stage to take the lead. Now the time for joking is over. Everybody needs to give their best, and privateers must be expected to step aside for the front runners, since their goal is not to win, but simply arrive at the finish. Among the cars, the first stage of the rally means the fight between the two giants of rally racing has begun as the Citroen and Mitsubishi teams get down to business. Bruno Sabi, first to set the pace and the fastest time. His last outing, the 1993 Paris-Dakar, ended with a victory, and now he sets out for a repeat. But this first day will not be positive for him, a puncture preventing him from defending his lead. Sabi is driving one of the old Pajeros. Erwin Weber takes the wheel of the new variant, making its debut here with a new body and a more powerful engine. During this first stage, the German demonstrates the potential of the new evolution, classified third overall and first in his team. The third, Rothman's Mitsubishi representative, Saeed Al-Hajri from Qatar, is a desert raiding veteran who doesn't like the narrow and twisty tracks on this Spanish stage. Al-Hajri bides his time, waiting for his opportunity to come when they arrive in Africa.
The rallies will start tomorrow. It's nothing here now. I mean, tomorrow it will be the desert, you know. The brain have to work, the feet have to work, everything will start from tomorrow, and we'll see, you know. It's long rally. Yeah.
Al-Hajri finishes the day 5th, not far behind the winners of the stage, and ahead of his teammate Bruno Sabi. But first honours go to Citroen, as Timo Salonen becomes the early leader of the rally, and this may well be a useful form guide for the event, because this is no short and sweet super special, but 150 kilometres of real special stage. Holding second position is another Citroen runner, Pierre Lartigue. While Hubert Auriol, fourth, completes the domination of the French manufacturer on this first day of the Atlas Rally. Although time differences are not yet important, it's already clear that ultimate victory lies solely between Citroen and Mitsubishi. And after this first brief contact with rallying in Spain, the moment of truth as the cars and bikes board the ferry at Almeria. Next stop, after a 6-hour trip, is Africa. Special stage results on 2 wheels, Magnaldi from Peter Hansel, and then Arcaron's in 3rd place. That's the form book more or less satisfied. No real form book on 4 wheels. Citroen taking the top honours and 2nd place. Weber the quickest of the Pajeros, ahead of Oriol and then Al Hajri. This is Morocco then, and there are now 7 days of hard driving ahead as the route loops south as far as the Algerian border and then turns north, heading for the finish line in Marrakesh. The world's top off-road 2-wheel riders are out on the Atlas. Thierry Magnaldi, Honda #1, in charge of breaking the ground in Africa. He's the defending champion, the winner of the 1992 event. Next on the road, Jordi Arcaron, KTM #4. This stage is short but difficult, crossing the Atlas north to south through rocky tracks. And after the first kilometres, it seems clear that pre-event favourites are reduced to 3. Magnaldi, Arcaron and Yamaha's Stefan Peter Hansel #2. Even if he did have a disappointing second stage, losing almost 7 minutes because of a problem with the chassis of his bike. At the finish in Missouri, it's Magnaldi who keeps the overall lead, ahead of Jordi Arcaron, the winner of the stage. No real surprises in any of that, but the toughest stages and the most difficult challenges of the Atlas Rally still lie ahead. The start in Nador brings the Pajero Evolution into its first contact with Africa, with Erwin Weber at the wheel of a vehicle which differs in a number of significant ways from both of those used by Bruno Sabi and Al Hajri.
Main difference is the body. It's more aerodynamics is better, and the gravity center is more down, and also we have done some suspension improvements.
The wide-body Pajero is one of the several variants under development here, as the Rothmans Mitsubishi team prepares for continuation in what's been a highly successful assault on desert raiding honours, beginning with a 1-2-3 on Paris-Le-Cap and followed by a succession of wins since, including this year's Paris-Dakar. But Weber's experience on the 1993 Atlas Rally is very short as he rolls out of the stage and can't continue. For Citroen, this embarkation and the arrival in Africa is not very good. The form book has already taken a severe shaking. Pierre Lartigue and one of the ZXs trailed in 2nd place, and they'd taken over the running as front ZX because both Hubert Oriol and Timo Salonen ran into troubles. Oriol's was the most serious difficulty. He had a gearbox problem. An ex-rally driver, Timo Salonen, merely experienced a couple of punctures. Even though this is the easy part of the Atlas, it's already taking its toll. And with the new buggy prototype, Jean-Louis Schlesser is, as expected, the first of the non-factory competitors. All of them are already well behind the two big teams of Citroen and Rothmans Mitsubishi, who are already locked in deadly combat and are beginning to pay the price of that.
Un petit problème pas très grave, c'est un
It was a little problem, not very serious. Something in the gearbox broke and we had no spare, so we've lost some time because we need to rebuild one of the pieces. It's been a stupid breakdown, but I've lost almost 2 hours, and now we'll try and come back to the front.
We hit in a ditch, we hit quite hard and the car jumped a little, and then we hit a small tree again, and the car was turning then into a ditch, and it was unfortunately the front suspension was broken, the control arm, so we had to wait for the service car.
Positions after this first African stage: Magnaldi, Arcaron, Peter Hansel, then Saint and Grady. And on four wheels, well, we've seen what happened. Sabi, Lartigue, Al-Hajri, Salonen and Ambrosino. Citroen struggling, but the battle still joined. The fourth stage, reputed to be the most difficult of the whole rally. Down near the Algerian border, navigation playing a decisive role as the competitors get among the dunes for the first time, and the classification changed during this stage. Thierry Magnaldi kept up the fight against Jordi Arcarons until his Honda broke. It was a problem with the fuel and I broke the engine. We can repair it now, and I shall continue for the enjoyment of it. After Magnaldi's trouble, Arcaron took the lead, clearly ahead of German Jürgen Mayer, number 9, and Frenchman Jean-Christophe Wagner, number 6. The 30-year-old Spaniard's on his way to his first ever win in Africa. Until the race is finished, we can't say I've won it, but now things are better than ever. I think I must keep a steady pace and without making any mistakes. The bike's reliable and I'll try not to crash or lose my way. They're the things that I have to watch out for now. While for bikes the overall standing seemed to be clear, the third stage in Africa gave exactly the opposite result for cars. The fight between the two manufacturers, between Citroen and Mitsubishi, is now in the hands of Pierre Lartigue and Bruno Sabi. After this stage, only 1 second will separate them. Sabi wins the stage and Lartigue finishes second, even if his car suffers the first signs of the pace which both of them are maintaining now. The rim came off and broke the sump guard and the engine cover, so after that I just played safe, because I was afraid some stones would hit the engine. Now we're just 1 second ahead, but that's racing, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. I based everything on regularity, and we've been paid by winning the stage and recovering time from Lartigue after his puncture. Today we're 1 second behind, which means we're almost starting again. It's like the beginning. If somebody was waiting in the dunes to show his abilities, that man was Saeed Al-Hajri. But again, he was unfortunate, 2 punctures adding up to a 10-minute loss. And even if he was third in the classification, the Qatari was far behind Sabi and Lartigue. In his two-wheel drive buggy, Jean-Louis Schlesser was also expecting on this kind of ground that his light weight would give him the opportunity for some good performances. Schlesser going well, and another driver shining on the dunes was Hubert Auriol. The 3-time winner of Paris-Dakar had recovered from the problems he'd had 2 days before and was pushing really hard. And just as Schlesser began to expect the best, disappointment and the worst kind. The engine of the buggy just stopped, and that was immediate and unhappy retirement for Schlesser. After that, Miguel Prieto and the Nissan pickup took over as leading privateers. Even if he occasionally takes his time to overcome the difficulties, Prieto and his co-driver are veterans of rally raiding and know how to survive in the desert. Punctures and digging clear the sand, the usual raiders' problems. The T2 class is still headed by Jean-Pierre Fontenay, driving the Pajero 211. He's the fast support man for the Rothmans Mitsubishi team, but still puts in a full-blooded performance in his class. In T1, for standard cars, two Nissans were battling for the lead, Spaniard Salvador Servia and Frenchman Thierry Delaverne. For the other competitors, the goal is still just to arrive at the finish line in Marrakesh. There are still 4 days to go. That makes this the halfway point of the Atlas Rally, and there's still a long way to go. But Arcarons leads Meyer, Agradi third, then Jean-Christophe Wagner and Kinney Gadner in 5th place. Four wheels, it's Lartigue from Sabi, but only just, Al-Hajri, Salonen and Ambrosino. On narrow tracks bordering the mountains. And afterwards comes a flat-out desert track. For the bikes, things seem to be clear now, with Jordi Arcaron holding a strong 20-minute lead. The Catalan now only needs to keep this advantage, controlling his rivals. He doesn't need to attack. On the other hand, Thierry Magnaldi, without any possibility of success in the overall results, just wants to win as many stages as possible. And the third man to watch is Jürgen Meyer, the only man now with a chance of defeating Arcarons after this stage, when he cut 14 minutes from the leader's advantage. Arcarons got lost, Meyer picked up the time.
I think it's not possible because he is still close to me and he is all time waiting what I make. If I go fast, he goes fast. I go slow, he goes slow.
Heinz Kinney-Gadner, one of the favourites at the beginning of the rally, got stuck with a broken engine and need to be towed to the end of the stage. For the car classification, the stage between Tinahir and Marmide is very important. As expected, Lartigue and Sabi continue their fight. The pace just gets faster and faster. Lartigue, winner of the Atlas in 83, 84 and 90, the last time out with Mitsubishi, wants to score a victory in Africa with his new team and is now the #1 Citroen runner. But Bruno Sabi also wants this victory, which has extra importance because it is the first event of the new FIA World Cup. Sabi and Lartigue are the only candidates for victory. Al-Hajri is third, even if every day he suffers a handful of punctures. And the second of the Citroens, Timo Salonen, is not free of problems. All of the competitors knew that this stage could be decisive. And just have a look at how fast Bruno Sabi was attacking it. Bruno Sabi holding nothing back. Pierre Lartigue tried to match the pace of the #1 Pajero, but all he gained was a serious mechanical problem 30 kilometres before the end of the stage. The front suspension was broken and the Frenchman lost almost 3 hours and all chance of victory as well.
C'est la course, hein. La voiture
That's racing.
marchait très bien. Et puis,
My car was working very well, and I think I was even some seconds in front of Bruno Sabi, but in one of the ditches I had a problem with the front suspension, and it was necessary to wait for the service crew to repair it. I've lost more than 2 hours, and it's a pity. The race for me is finished, but I'll do my best to help Timo pick up time on Bruno Sabi. So Sabi, winner of the stage, is now the clear leader of the Atlas Rally. Today's stage has been decisive. Even so, I stay cautious because the rally's not finished yet. As we know, this kind of rally is never finished until the last moment. It's true that I'm now in a much more comfortable position than yesterday, because today we have 35 minutes over the second place instead of 1 second down on the leader. But one stage has been decisive many times in a rally raid. This was a very tricky stage where we had to be watchful. We were driving very fast together with Pierre Lartigue because we were fighting for victory. We knew that perhaps one of us could make a mistake. We were both very fast. I think I had approached him a little, so he made a mistake. It could have been me, because today the route was very tricky. It was a good day for the Rothmans Mitsubishi team, with Al Hajri in third place, just behind Timo Salonen. Hubert Auriol, Citroen number 208, continued his recovery today, heading back towards the top 5. After this stage, he was already back up to 6th place, just in front of Pierre Lartigue and just behind the surprising Miguel Prieto. And a special mention for the Russian Lada team. All 3 of their cars were still in the race, no mean achievement. From Marmite, the southern point of the rally, the route started its final run towards Marrakesh. Though some stability is beginning to creep into the leaderboards, it isn't over yet. However, not many people expected this to change. Arcaron from Mayer, who couldn't close the gap, Wagner, Agradi, and then Miroir in 5th place. On 4 wheels, things are pretty settled too. Sabi from Salonen, Al Hajri, Ambrosino and Prieto, with Bruno Sabi looking stronger and stronger at the front of the rally. With only 3 more days to go, the story of the 1993 Atlas Rally seems to be already written. For a lot of the competitors and the support crews, now was the time to enjoy the scenery of Morocco. But even if the positions were almost definitive, the race continues, especially for one rider, Thierry Magnaldi, who has only one goal. He wants to win all of the remaining stages. Rally leader Arcaron takes no more risks. He and everybody else is now sure that only his own mistakes can prevent victory, so he doesn't want to make one. But what he must do is control Jürgen Mayer, and as you can see, that's what he does. Arcaron just stayed with Mayer and matched his pace all day long. What I have to do is control the only man who can worry me, Mayer. He also rides a KTM, but I suppose he would like to win, so today I just followed him. Things aren't very different in the car competition. Bruno Sabi now leading with no problems. Pierre Lartigue tried to forget about his bad luck by winning today's stage. On 4 wheels, as on 2, the 2 major stars of the Atlas Rally drive almost together during the stage. Sabi maintains his cool because nobody can disturb him anymore. And second in the standings, Timo Salonen delayed again by mechanical trouble.
Some electrical problem for petrol, essence problem, and but then we find the way how to fix it, and we got out from the States.
What do you think that happening these 2 days that are left at the end of the rally?
No, I think so. We are nobody's hurry anymore. We just keep going through the 2 days because by driving there is nothing to do anymore.
Despite everything, Salonen finishes 4th on the stage and stays 2nd overall. 5th on that stage, Miguel Prieto once again almost confirmed as the best privateer in the race, and in the concentrated battle between all the members of the Nissan Desud team, today the Portuguese driver Guedes takes best. Jean-Pierre Fontenay hangs on to the lead in the T2 class. And now that everyone has decided to slow down, Cotel and his buggy achieve their best performance of the rally. But even if the overall pace is not so fast, rally raiding is never easy. Today will be the day that Saeed Al-Hajri will never forget. He was driving normally, and he was actually leading, was first on the track. But his journey came to an abrupt end in a waterhole. As he was leading, he was the first to arrive at the trouble spot, and he couldn't skip the obstacle. His team and even some spectators tried to dig the Pajero out of the water, but it took a lot of time, and Al-Hajri lost all chance to finish 2nd in the rally.
We drive very well. I pass Salonen and I pass Bruno Sabi, maybe after 100 kilometers, and we are really going very well. Car number 1 in the roads. But we come to this wadi, and it's in the wadi 14 kilometers. We have to cross many places for water, you know. And I follow the old road. Somewhere the old road it stop, and he see in the road book you have to turn right, cross the water, always good, like before. And I cross, but in a very, very bad place, really leg just the size of the car, and the car go completely down, and it's no chance to take it out. I mean, we stuck for 4 or 5 hours, and this is it.
Al-Hajri's car wasn't the only one to pay the penalty of this long rally. Hubert Auriol's hopes of finishing in the top 5 were dashed, and other crews suffered similar disappointments. The leaderboard fairly static, Arcaron from Mayer nicely under control, Wagner in 3rd place, then Agradi and a change in 5th as Perez comes up. Sabi still leads it, Salonen behind him in 2nd place, too far away to catch. Ambrosino, Lartigue and Prieto hanging on there in 5th. Challenge before the final day around the old capital city of Morocco, Marrakesh. The battle for victory was more or less over, both in cars and bikes, and the door for victory opened wide for Bruno Sabi and Jordi Arcaron. On 2 wheels, the stage win went once more to Magnaldi, while Arcaron, more comfortable in the narrow and twisty track, crossing south to north, was able to increase his advantage over Jean-Christophe Wagner, 3rd man overall, and especially over his major rival, Jürgen Mayer. Mayer still there in 2nd place, but very much 2nd, and Arcaron now very much in control of the whole event. Bruno Sabi also enjoyed a calm day. He even benefited from the fact that this stage was shortened to 70 kilometres. The race had almost lost its interest. Even the local people didn't pay very much attention to it. Citroen scored a 1-2-3-4 victory on the stage, but it was a very poor prize for the French manufacturer. Everyone was sure now that they couldn't stop Sabi's victory. That didn't stop them trying, though. But as the rally headed towards its close, all the other crews were taking a more conservative attitude. It just wasn't on to throw away the efforts of a whole week by taking risks now the finish line was so close, and Miguel Prieto was anxious to secure his 5th position. Jean-Pierre Fontenay did exactly the same with his T2 lead. And Thierry Delaverne was certain to score a difficult win in the T1 class, though his teammate Salvador Servia had several engine problems. The 40 survivors of the Atlas Rally knew this was the last challenge. Even if there was still one stage to go, everyone was happy to be heading home. That is the way they looked at it now. The finish line was almost in sight, and it felt like home. A certain amount of relief for all the drivers and the riders as they neared the end, but the most relief and the happiest man of them all, Bruno Sabi, even if he was still cautious. Rally raids remain a sport with a lot of uncertainty. Nothing's ever sure, so I must be patient and serious to win the rally. Despite his words of caution, nobody can attack him anymore, and his rivals in Citroens now had time for a little fun. Only one man was still suffering bad luck, Al Hajri. The car just stopped, the engine cut off. I've changed everything, but it didn't start again, so it must be something electric. This was the end of the 1993 Atlas Rally for Saeed Al Hajri. The winner of this year's Tunis Rally was really unfortunate in Morocco, but kept a smile on his face nonetheless.
The last exemption
This almost the final leaderboard. Arcaron, Meyer, Wagner, Agradi and Perez. That's the way it is on two wheels. Sabi leads on 4 from Salonen and Ambrosino, Lartigue, and there's Prieto. And the short hop round Marrakesh, not really expected to change it. It is just a loop around Marrakesh, the last day of the rally. Both classifications almost decided, and it was time to take a look at the breathtaking scenery of the country that had provided the backdrop to the struggles of car and bike competitors for the previous 7 days. But there was one more stage to run, and the only real interest on this final outing, which was divided into 2 sectors, was finding out who would be the last stage winners of the rally. As every day since he lost his chance for overall glory, Thierry Magnaldi was the fastest rider. At least he showed that he could have been fighting with Jordi Arcaron right until the end. And Arcaron, the only man in the running for two-wheel honours, was the undisputed leader of the event. Despite his many appearances on desert raids, he too's a veteran Dakar like Peter Hansel and Magnaldi, the Spaniard had never yet scored a victory in Africa. Now he was just a few kilometres from it because Jürgen Meyer had decided to settle for second place and accept defeat. For the German, on a standard bike, this second position was his best ever result. For the front runners, in this final stage of competition, there was really only one issue left to decide. Frenchman Jean-Christophe Wagner on the Husqvarna number 6 and Italian Fabio Agradi with the number 16 Honda were still fighting over third place on the rostrum. The Frenchman, Wagner, started the final day with a 5-minute advantage, and that should have been enough in normal conditions. But it isn't over until the final finish of the last stage is reached, and it was all changed. Wagner strayed off the route, and if that wasn't bad enough, he then had mechanical problems as well. The Italian Agradi wasn't without his own difficulties, but having already won the Tunis Rally this year, he overcame those, and he profited from Wagner's difficulties and attacked. And even if he was just a little bit too aggressive, he achieved his aim. Meyer second and Agradi third arrived at the finish line almost together. Both of them got there before the winner, Jordi Arcaron, and both showed their happiness at the final result.
In the beginning very slowly, because in Tunis Rally we got too fast, and then it was the problem. I had a crash, and in this race I get a good navigation, and maybe I find all time the right way, a little bit slower, and maybe if I had no problems with my front brake I can win the race, but that's rally raid.
It's
a very hard one, third place. I must say that I didn't expect to make it because the stage was very short and it was difficult to recover any time from Wagner. But finally it was okay for me, but not for him, because he lost his way. So here I am with this third place, which is better than fourth.
Ce l'ho fatta, insomma, a riacquistare questo terzo posto che vale senz'altro un bel po' di più di un quarto.
The moment arrives for Arcaron to cross the finish line. He's the winner of the 1993 Atlas Rally. The 30-year-old rider from Vic, near Barcelona, has just achieved the best result of his career. Finally, I've won a race in Africa, the Atlas Rally, a tough race in the raid calendar, and I hope that after this one I can go on to score other victories. Doubtless the happiest day in Arcaron's sporting career. And after the bikes, it's the turn of the cars on the final stage. This was another good day for Citroen, and it ended with another victory for Timo Salonen. The Finn completed his first rally raid by winning the final stage and finishing in second position overall. But it was a hollow victory because he couldn't hand the big win to Citroen.
Quite happy that, I must say very happy that I finished first time in Rally Red, and we had some problems, but I hope next time we are okay and we can win.
Out in front, Bruno Sabi cruised to an unremarkable fourth place on the day to take his second victory of the season and the third consecutive win for the Rothmans Mitsubishi team. This last day was just a pleasant trip for Sabi and his co-driver Dominic Cerise, a tribute to the strongest crew in the rally. After 8 days of fighting, after the tough battle against the Citroen army, the 43-year-old from Grenoble scored his second victory on the Atlas Rally. The former rally driver, winner of the Monte Carlo in 1988, turned to rally raids 2 years ago, and to date has shown that he's one of the best drivers in this form of competition. The last day, a brief sprint, but as Bruno Sabi arrives at the finish line in Marrakesh, his face a picture of happiness and fatigue. This comes at the end of a long, hard trek, and for Rothmans Mitsubishi, this has been an important victory, the first event of the brand new Rally Raid World Cup. But it also represents continuity for the team, another in a long string of victories in the business of rally raiding. Sabi and the whole crew have every reason to feel pleased with themselves. I'm calm now. After the pace we had during the first days, we were anxious to finish. It's true the last 3 days were much more comfortable, but in this kind of event we know there are many difficulties and you can't celebrate a victory until you cross the finish line. We were expecting it, but we were alone in the team and we had 4 Citroens in our rear view mirror, so the situation wasn't very strong. And what about the rally overall? The rally was fantastic, from the entry list with that full squad of Citroens to the route, all very technical. Citroen placed in 2nd, 3rd and 4th, Alain Ambrosino achieving a fine 3rd position. We finished 3rd, not bad for a support crew. We didn't have to stop too much, but unfortunately Citroen doesn't have the 1st place. This will be a nice souvenir with lots of stones on the road. Very nice. Behind the first 4 works cars, Miguel Prieto reached a remarkable 5th position, which made him the best of the rest, and even finished in front of Hubert Oriol's Citroen. The Spaniard, a veteran Dakar, squeezed his strange Nissan pickup, built in America, onto the leaderboard and may well be a challenger in the rest of the World Cup. The next round is the Sardinia Rally. I think this is the first victory for this car, and we'll try to do the same in other World Cup events. Finally, Jean-Pierre Fontenay won the T2 class pretty much as expected. Thierry Delaverne won the T1 class. At the end of the rally, 39 cars and 42 bikes crossed the finishing line of the Atlas. Final classification pretty much as expected. Arcaron from Meyer, Agradi, Wagner and Perez in 5th place. Arcaron with that first African victory. Bruno Sabi collecting another win ahead of Timo Salonen, Alain Ambrosino, Pierre Lartigue and then Prieto. Top honours going to Rothmans Mitsubishi, but Citroen right behind in 2nd, 3rd and 4th place, so a good strong team finish for them. But the 1993 Atlas Rally was over as the survivors trekked the last few kilometres into Marrakesh. This final convoy, alive with the cheerful friendship that's the hallmark of the rally raids, brings us to the end of the story of the 1993 Atlas Rally.